Back for another edition of In the Huddle. Put them up. Carl Dukes, along with my man Brian Baldinger, Jason Canfora. Guys, we talk nothing but football, the NFL. It's all about ball. And guys, we're heading to week 9. I mean, this is crazy how fast this season seems like it's flying by. We had a lot of stuff happen this week. Obviously, we had the trade deadline that happened. Some teams helped themselves, or at least they think they did. And then we've got a big one to start tonight as we look ahead, guys, and preview what's coming up this weekend. Baldy, last time these two teams played each other, we're talking about Ravens and Bengals. Burrow threw 5 touchdowns. Lamar threw 4.
I was there.
It was a shootout, right? And then, let's be honest, I felt like the Bengals should have won the game. And they blew it. And then, if you do that in the NFL late, you're going to lose. So tonight, here they are. They've won 3 since that game happened. Yep. Trying to get over 500. Baldy, what are you looking at here with this game? Because what's changed is, I think, the run game, right, for the Bengals, but now they're dealing with injuries there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they picked up Khalil Herbert. They needed it. Zach Moss went down, but Chase Brown's been good. I was there in Cincinnati 5 weeks ago. I saw that shootout. I said back then it was easily one of the most entertaining games I have seen in a regular season in a long, long time. It was fantastic, and it was the quarterback play was sterling, and we don't get enough of that. I remember just briefly talking to Joe Burrow before that game, and he just said, I got to be perfect today. And not perfect like I got to go 30 for 30 and can't. No, what he meant was, we got to maximize every possession, and it's going to be on me to make the right decisions. And he did that last week, threw 5 touchdowns last week. 4 of the 5 were his movement and extending plays and all that. He's good. So, I mean, that's what we're going to see tonight. We're going to see 2 MVP candidates. I've always said this, and I commit, and will always maintain this, Jason. You get great quarterback play as an analyst, just get out of the way. Just let Lamar and Joe go at it, because you don't know what you're going to see. This secondary in Baltimore was a problem 5 weeks ago. It's a problem still right now. Honestly, if Denver, Bo wasn't terrible, but if he hit the open receivers to Franklin and Lil Jordan, Humphrey, they got 2 easy touchdown passes. Yeah. They're wide open. So they still have – so Joe knows that. Baltimore knows that. I don't know if it's miscommunication. They're just not very good in the back end. So, I expect a high-scoring game. Cincinnati needs this a whole lot more than Baltimore does, but Baltimore can't lose another division game like this. They lost to Cleveland. They can't afford to do this. They got games with Pittsburgh coming up next week. This is a really important game for both teams, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's a shootout, Baldy. I mean, we can overthink these things and you can get caught up in the weeds, but I mean, the Ravens are 8-1 to the over. They're 8-5 to the over since the start of last year at home. I mean, Ravens games are averaging 58 points, and the one against the Bengals just put up almost 80. I know there was overtime. Joe Burrow has owned the Ravens other than the 2 years that he faced Mike McDonald, peak Mike McDonald with Roquan Smith. And other than that, Burrow against any other iteration of this Ravens defense, Burrow has sliced them. And Lamar has owned the Ravens. One thing to keep an eye on tonight, though, is I still don't think Lamar's going to be running a whole lot. His legs were out of the equation against Denver with all the time he missed and the injuries last week. And I think they still probably lean away from that. No Isaiah Likely's a big deal, because I think they wanted to just kill these guys with their tight ends like they did in the first game. In the first game, Lamar threw to his tight ends 12 times. They had 10 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 of the touchdowns were Likely. So I think they probably still want to attack him that way. I don't know. I know everybody talks about Derrick Henry in the run game. Since you were there, Baldy, Cincinnati shut the run game down in the first half.
They were down 10, Jason. They were down 10 much of the game. So
that's when they got it going.
They went to Justice Hill.
Yes,
they
2 minutes.
They brought in Henry at the very end. He had the big 50-yarder.
One big carry.
But
they could not stop Lamar throwing out a heavy personnel all day long. And so I think you try to score early at home. Harbaugh likes to defer. If I win the toss, I'm putting the best player in football on the field, and I'm trying to throw my way to a 10 or a 14-point lead and say, Joe Burrow, try to score one more on my defense than we're going to score on you. I don't think it's about running the football tonight, and especially I don't think it's about running the football out of the pistol or the gun, because I don't think they want Lamar involved in any of that stuff. They did lean into under center runs with the fullback last week against Denver. I think we might see more of that. But I think Lamar's going to be under center a lot, and I think under center play action shots to Andrews, to Kohler, whoever else. Yes, I think that'll be the name of the game. I think the Ravens probably win. Lamar in prime time at home is tough to bet against, but I like the over more than anything else.
Yeah, he's since what are they 8-1 in prime times on Thursday night. I mean that's with Harbaugh as coach. I mean that's pretty hard to go against when you start looking at these numbers in prime time. Real quick, Baldy, no T. Higgins. It doesn't look like he's going to play. How does that affect the Bengals?
Well, they played without him last week, and the Raiders, they hung in there for quite a while. Joe threw a pick six, allowed him to stay in the game, but they went to the tight end. They went to Gesicki. He had 2 touchdown catches last week. Ayasavash is more than capable of picking up some slack. They miss a lot with T. They're not quite as powerful, and they don't have that option on the sideline, the jump balls, the contested catches. I mean, it makes it a little bit easier to contain Jamar when you don't have to worry about T at the same time. They're not quite the same, but, I mean, Joe's going to throw it to the open guy. Like, it doesn't matter what the name of it is.
Guys, that's going to be an interesting game to get us started on a Thursday night. It's In the Huddle. Subscribe, like us, tell your friends, and, of course, you can watch us live on YouTube at In the Huddle Pod. Follow Jason Canfora and Brian Baldinger. Check out Baldy's breakdowns and follow me at Put 'em Up. See Dukes. Just keep up with all the things that are going on around the National Football League. All right. Steelers made some moves in the trade deadline. And before we get to Steelers Commanders, which I think is going to be a fascinating game, I do want to ask you guys, who helped themselves? Who improved, in your opinion, at the trade deadline?
Well, really quick, both teams did. I mean, to get Marshawn Lattimore, this is the formula. Good teams that are in contention, raid bad teams of good players. So we saw both teams do it. We saw Marshawn Lattimore. All these guys are coming to their new teams with a smile on their face. Marshawn's out there in New Orleans. It's not going to – the coach is fired. Oh, he's a Cleveland kid. He's tough. He's a good tackler. He's got a high football IQ. If you want to match him up against the number one, he loves doing that. It's probably what he's best at, but he's going to help Washington. That was their weakness on the team, was in the back end. And then, look, Pittsburgh knows exactly what an outside linebacker looks like. Preston Smith comes in. They've had injuries to Highsmith, injuries to Herbig. TJ's been good. But, you can never have enough for those guys in Pittsburgh. So, Preston comes in. The guy's been largely healthy. You know him from Washington. When he was there, the guy doesn't miss games.
Yeah.
He still can line up over the tight end, set the edge, rush the passer. And then, look, they've been looking to trade for a receiver. And Mike Williams probably happy to leave Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
Hell yeah.
Really used him. So, but the good thing is he used his time to get healthy with New York. He can go run now. He's going to be a good complement opposite of George Pickens. And so I think Pittsburgh knows that they need more firepower. Russell's played pretty well, but give him a good option opposite Pickens. And this offense looks like you get Warren back healthy, get the center back. You can see Pittsburgh making a good run.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the game itself. What are the Commanders doing, Jason, that is giving teams problems? Listen, we know Jaden's playing well, but how much credit goes to Dan Quinn? How much credit goes to Kingsbury with this offense and what they're doing?
Everybody. Look, the defense, I know some of the raw numbers still don't look great because there was a tough start early, but I feel like the defense is more bought in and more aware and more understanding of the assignment and their responsibilities each week. I feel like they look like a tougher defense to play each week. Do they have all the talent in the world? No. Was there a big scheme adjustment at the beginning of the year? Yeah. But I feel like they're getting there. And when I talk to people who've played them, they're like, hey, don't get caught up in, they're 28th in this or 20. Just go dig down on the last 4 weeks because there's improvement there.
It's true.
And there is. Look, do I think there's going to be some regression, though, too? Offensively, yeah. They're scoring a lot outside the red zone. When they're in the red zone, it's bogged down a little bit. Is Jaden Daniels going to throw some interceptions at some point in time? He probably is. It's football. Have the football gods really been with them some of these games? They have. I want to see, Baldy just alluded to the multiplicity of the Pittsburgh run game. If Pittsburgh really leans into that and Russell takes some play action shots to the big tight ends to Williams and Pickens on the outside, I think that could be a problem. Like, I think Mike Tomlin understands how to manage this game. And me personally, both these teams are great against the spread. Like, there's a lot of numbers that could point you to either team. But Mike Tomlin in his career is 39-24 against the spread as a road dog. His last 10 games as a road dog, 7-3 against the spread and 7-3 straight up. He's won on the money line as a road dog 7 of the last 10 times. And I think he does it again here. Like, they've got an elite kicker. Yep. The defense is coming off a bye. They're healthy. And I just feel like Washington's kind of been getting the dice has been rolling their way every time. You want to take the 3 points or 2.5 from Tomlin, do it. I would say sprinkle on the money line as well. I personally, Baldy, think the Pittsburgh Steelers find a way to win this football game.
I do too, but I'll say this about Jaden Daniels because we can't really talk about him enough. You can't get that kid to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's ball security, hadn't put the ball on the ground, whether it's decision making, whether it's the right decision to hand the ball off or to keep it, when to get down, like he protects himself extremely well. And he has a remarkable touch on the deep ball. And sometimes for young quarterbacks, I mean, I go back to talking to Troy Aikman about this stuff. Sometimes the last thing to come for a quarterback is the deep ball because it's really hard to practice it. Nobody runs full speed in practice. So it's hard to say, okay, Terry McLaurin, I'm going to hit you on this go route. Well, okay. Well, he's not running like that on Wednesday and Thursday like he is on Sunday. But he has a remarkable touch on it. And so he's going to test Pittsburgh. I do think Pittsburgh's a better all-around team, but Washington's very well coached. They don't beat themselves. These are all things that help you win games. And so, yeah, the Hail Mary, all that is real. Like, they needed that to win that game. But this is going to be a good game. This is going to be fun. Because I think Washington is going to have a real chance to win the division.
Absolutely.
Real chance to win the division. So this is a good test for them. Win or lose, it's a good test for Washington. And it's probably a good team to come see them right now at home because that crowd, it's a different crowd now. It's a different organization.
Yeah.
That crowd reminds me of days, Jason, when I'd go play in RFK.
The whole thing would be shaking. Right now. Yeah.
It's
Stands
great.
are moving.
They deserve
Mike Tomlin, 24-5 against rookie quarterbacks. Although he did lose to Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year. He lost to Stroud. He lost to Stroud and Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year. Like 24-5 is. I know this is no normal rookie, but I feel like we have don't you have a duty to put that stat out there? I feel like every time Mike Tomlin faces a rookie quarterback, you're obligated to update that number.
All right, good enough.
Baldy, and you're right. The fan base deserves it there with the Washington Commanders. It's been a blank show with Snyder and company for years. It's good to see, and I think it's good for the NFL, to be quite honest with you. Let's talk about the Lions, guys. Nobody's playing quarterback right now at a higher level than Jared Goff. 80% completion rate. When you start talking about the last 4 or 5 weeks, I mean, it's just incredible what he's doing. The incompletions are barely happening at all. And now the Lions go take on the Texans. They're a 3.5-point favorite. It's hard for me right now, Baldy, to pick against this Lions team with what they're doing offensively. They're the most dynamic team, at least in my opinion, this year offensively with what they're able to do and how they're able to operate.
Well, they're a dynamic offense. I mean, they've got the best offensive line in football. They run the ball with two backs. Like, literally, they both have 100-plus carries. I mean, they just have the right fit. Montgomery starts the game, he finishes the game. And Jahmyr Gibbs is this incredible talent in between. And Goff is just making great decisions. The offense coordinator is, I don't want to call anybody a genius in this business, but he's very creative. And the big thing about any offense coordinator, honestly, is, are you maximizing your talent, number one? Are you getting matchups in key situations that you want? Are you saving a key play for the right time to pull it out? They've had 2 hook and laterals this year that have worked for them. Yeah. One for a touchdown against Arizona if they needed. Like, everybody runs that play. You pull it out at the right time. Like, they have that knack. And then, they lost Brian Branch last week during the game. And here comes Kirby Joseph. Comes in and takes Brian's spot at the strong safety. They put another kid, Joseph, a young kid at free safety, and Kirby gets his 6th interception. Like, we don't talk about Kirby Joseph, but he's got 14 interceptions in the last 2.5 years. The guy's got real ball skills. And, oh, by the way, that interception last week, went for a touchdown. So they've got playmakers, and Houston. I don't know what Nico Collins' status is. Maybe you guys know right now. They're not the same offense without Nico in there.
No, I don't know that he's back for this one, Baldy. I know it's starting to trend in the right direction. Everything about this game says take the Lions, especially when it was 3, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. The public is all over it. I mean, it was like 90% of the public and 90% of the money at the middle of the week, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. I kind of feel like this could be a spot where the Lions have played all these tough divisional games, right? And like everything's gone their way. And here's Stroud, who's been sacked 14 times the last 3 weeks. And, the Texans don't have any guards. And, like, to Baldy's point, what's the passing game downfield look like without Nico Collins? And I don't know. C.J. Stroud's still pretty good. C.J. Stroud averages 311 yards per game at home. Like, on the road, different story. Like, and their backs are kind of against the wall a little bit. So I just couldn't get there. I certainly can't bet against the Lions, because the Lions are 11-2 against the spread on the road their last 13, 16-5 against the spread their last 21 road games. Like Dan Campbell in prime time, 8-0 against the spread. Like Detroit 7-1 against the spread this year. Detroit has a historically significant ATS winning percentage under Dan Campbell since he got there. And this is back in a dome, right? And all that stuff. So you can't even say, it's not. But I just couldn't, especially now at 3.5. There's just something telling me this is kind of going to be a Texans statement game, and everybody's ready to kind of write them off, and they look terrible against the Jets in prime time. I just couldn't get there. I love Jared Goff to throw at least 2 touchdown passes in this game. You can get plus money on that. Houston's allowed 19 passing touchdowns already. Amon-Ra St. Brown's caught a touchdown in 6 straight games, like plus 135. I'm on that. I just Baldy couldn't get there on the game. Something's telling me they might get the best the Texans have.
Well, I mean, if you just watch the end of that Jets game, like Jalen Petrie is a hell of a football player, but he can't be your slot defender against Devontae Adams. He's not going to hold up against Garrett Wilson. And so I see Ben Johnson going, okay, they want to drop Jalen down and play him in the slot. Well, I can see Amon-Ra Brown with his route running going, okay, I'll take on Jalen Petrie. And I can see Ben Johnson already drawing up formations to get them matched up. Just that type of stuff. And the offensive line of Houston, I mean, look, they traded for – they're looking at upgrading their offensive line. They haven't played well. Laramie Tunsil's the most penalized tackle in football. Like, you look at the penalties in Houston now. We all kind of want to, love D'Amico Ryans, and we all do. But they're a heavily penalized team right now. And they're just putting CJ in terrible situations.
Yeah, the discipline of that football team is not showing through. Real quick, Zadarius Smith, how much has he helped the Lions?
He's a good fit. He's probably the best pure pass rusher they have right now off the edge. So, and he's an every down player. He's a good pass rusher. He's not Aiden, it's not Aiden, but he plays hard. He loves the game. Got a smile on his face every day. And I'm sure he's happy as hell to get out of Cleveland and that disaster and to go and play for Dan Campbell. I think you'll get the best of him right now.
By the way, you surprised they didn't do more, Baldy, though? Like, I felt if you're trying to replace Aiden Hutchinson in a perfect world, you get Zadarius, who can, especially against lesser guards, right, who are a little lighter in the ass, you could put him inside and he can give you a push there. And I want Jadeveon Clowney for half a year, hopefully shot out of a cannon.
I was surprised.
He hasn't had to do a hell of a lot in Carolina to this point, right? Like, I thought they needed Zadarius and a pure edge guy, and now I'll buy it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought Jadeveon would certainly get picked up to somebody. I don't know what, I don't know the deals that didn't get made.
Yeah, they wanted too much, but what's too much if you win a Super Bowl with them? I mean, what's too much?
It is nothing. You just push the can down the road.
Yeah, and your fan base is forgiving if you win it. Who cares, right? By the way, that's a Sunday night game, guys. Detroit at Houston. All right, feeling bad for Tampa Bay? Not really, but it doesn't get any easier. They lose, and then now they come back after a short week. Here comes San Francisco. Baldy, this is a 6-point game, or at least the odds makers thinks it is. Tampa's getting +6. Baker's still playing really well, but it's hard when you're missing these guys, right? It's hard when you're missing your main dudes. And of course, we're talking about Godwin and Mike Evans, and they're still scoring points. But the fact of the matter is, 51 over or under. I don't like this spot for Tampa. I think it's a tough spot coming off the bye for the 49ers.
It's no doubt. I mean, it's a huge disadvantage for Tampa. It's going to be 88 degrees out there Sunday afternoon at Raymond James. I'm going to be down there for the game. I'm curious just what McCaffrey is going to bring, if anything. Like, we know he's practicing. He says he's pain-free. I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
I know this. If you have to wait another month and you can hang in there without him, you hang in there. But I don't know what Kyle's going to do, what John's going to do. I'm sure sometimes you got to get players out of harm's way. But regardless, I mean, San Francisco should be able to run the ball. Kansas City did pretty well, effectively enough. At least they overtime drive, they ran the ball really well, right at him with Vita Vea and the whole group. I think San Francisco is still a very good football team, and they're rested. And last year when they came off the bye, they went on a 6-game tear. They just put it together. They're going to get a bunch of guys healthy and back. I think this is a good spot for San Francisco out there and start turning things around for them and start getting on the winning side of things. And look, you could say this next man up. There's no other red zone threat like Mike Evans in this business. He's simply the best red zone receiver since Randy Moss. And he's in that category. And so you get down there, like Kate Otten has picked it up. He's really picked up the slack at tight end. That's a good sign. But they're going to, you miss Godwin and Evans. I mean, that's when there's a reason why Brady went to Tampa. He knew he had those two guys down there.
Yep.
And, he brought Gronk. So, like, he knew what he was getting into when everybody said he was going here or there. Like, he knew the reason why he was going to Tampa.
Yeah, I'm on the over here, but this is move. Like, I got this thing at 48. I mean, 50.5 is a big difference. And now Baker's missed some practice time. And he's a gamer, and I'm sure he'll play, but you do wonder if he's a little limited. But San Francisco with McCaffrey in the lineup averages 30 points a game. And this Tampa Bay defense has given up 27 or more in 5 straight. And you can run on them and throw on them right now. And they're pretty beat up. And even without Evans and Godwin, the Bucs are moving the ball down the field. And I think the San Francisco defense is not special. And so I still do lean to the over. And even if San Francisco gets a big lead, and they probably will, they've been outscored 71-44 in the fourth quarter. This has backdoor cover, backdoor push it to the over potential to me all over the place. And let's face it, Baldy, Baker's leading the NFL in touchdown passes. Do you think he knows that? Because I think he knows that. I think Baker Mayfield would probably like to lead the NFL in passing touchdowns. And so even late, I think they'll have the ability to score some points here. The Bucs are 7-2 to the over. Their games go over on average by 10.4 points. That is by far the most in the NFL. Their games average 56 points. And even San Francisco, right, on a lo-fi offense this year without McCaffrey, without Ayuk, their games still average 49. So I still lean over. This number is not that great, but the Bucs haven't played a game under 54 in 6 weeks.
True.
It's interesting to talk about, the Bucs and how things looked and now where they are, which is why we played the season out. You would have said after 2 weeks, right? Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. Slow your roll. And by the way, I just feel like also, this is affecting so many other things outside of just not having those guys. I mean, the morale. Baldy, you know this, man. When you don't have your guys out there, sometimes it's tough mentally because you go into these games and you're like looking around to see who's out there. You got to try to overcome it. Guys, Broncos, Chiefs. Chiefs remain undefeated. We know they probably should have lost 2 games, right? I'm going to say at least 2, but who cares? They're 8-0. They're finding a way to get it done. Last week, the Patrick Mahomes scare with the ankle, that was a scary moment because you're saying, all right, what's going to happen? He comes back out there, no issues. Broncos get drubbed by the Ravens, and now they got to go play the Chiefs. What happens on Sunday in this one, Baldy?
Well, the last time Denver went to Kansas City, they won last year. They broke the streak. Mahomes was undefeated against Denver throughout his career until last year, but they took the ball away 5 times. They picked off Mahomes twice. They picked up 3 fumbles, and they won the game. And so, but, this DeAndre Hopkins makes a difference. it's amazing how quickly it's come. But I would expect that Patrick Surtain is just going to shadow, DeAndre. I mean, I can't imagine him not doing that. He did it to Garrett Wilson. Like, he loves that action. So that's okay. Kelsey, like I said, he's been targeted 28 times the last 2 weeks. He's got 20 catches for 190 yards. Like, they're determined to get him going. This is a good matchup, though, because Denver's defense is better.
Yeah.
Like, Mahomes could do some things, there's no doubt. But Lamar could do things that Mahomes can't do. And that's what he did. That touch, the big throw to Justice Hill on a wheel, and the throw at the end of the half to Zay Flowers. Like, that broke Denver's back. They haven't given up those kind of plays this year. They've been a very good defense. Lamar, they carved them up. And so I feel like Denver can keep this thing really close. I just do. I think Sean Payton, he still knows how to game plan with the best of them. They don't run the ball very well. They're talking about playing the rookie Estemic. They need a big back. Javante and Jaleel are little guys. They don't push the pile. They don't beat you up. Like, I can see this rookie coming in there. We'll see what his ball security is like. But I can see them coming in and, trying to get a bigger back going. Sean's not afraid to play rookies. He's playing all these rookie wide receivers right now. I feel like Kansas City's going to win, but it's going to be close. It's going to be I feel like they cover this 8.5 easily.
Yeah, I lean to the under, and it's, when games go under, usually somebody's not winning by 10 points like this line implies. I think it's Denver with the points and the under. Denver's defense is really good. Baltimore was a terrible matchup for them. Baltimore turns out to be a terrible matchup for everybody. But that was a ball game until the third quarter when the Ravens held the ball for 12 minutes on the ground. And that, Denver's defense has pride. Denver's defense will bounce back here. And Patrick Mahomes' last 4 games against Denver, 7 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a tough matchup for him. Guys, I found this crazy. So Mahomes didn't throw an interception last week, right? He's thrown the most in the league since the start of last year. I went back to find the last time in the regular season he went 2 straight games without throwing an interception. You got to go back almost 2 years. You got to go back to week 16 of 2022. He's played 26 straight regular season games between not throwing picks in back-to-back games. They're giving you plus money on him to throw one. He should have. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Triple coverage, and somehow DeAndre.
Yes. DeAndre comes down with it. Oh, trust me. I thought I was cashing right there.
I mean,
there we go. I thought it came through. But he's thrown a pick in 7 of his last 8 games. He's thrown the most picks in the NFL since the start of this year and since the start of last year. And like I told you, you got to go back 26 games to find him going 2 straight games without throwing one. I think he throws one. Kareem Hunt over 16.5 carries. I think Andy Reid knows this ain't a blowout. Andy Reid knows this is a low-scoring game. Yes. Oh, last 4 weeks, 27, 21, 22, 27. I think that's baked into the cake. Andy knows his bread and butter is defense and just run the ball to kill the clock, even if we're not doing it all that well. And then, I think, especially if this gets back up to 9, I'm hoping this gets to 9 and 42, and that's when I'll jump on it. But I think it's the under, and Denver is the play.
Guys, the Cardinals have won 3 in a row for the first time in 3 years. I think they're one of the interesting teams in the National Football League. Now, Baldy, I'm not sure what's going on with Harrison and Kyler Murray and that connection, but they're still finding ways to win. And last week, they ran the ball down the Bears' throat, which is something I did not expect. And Kyler only threw 454 yards. So the Jets, Jets on the road against the Cardinals on Sunday. Cards right now, 1.5, getting, you see it there, plus 1.5. What are you thinking here with this Cardinals team that's looking to get to 500?
Well, I spent the morning up at the Jets yesterday. And, they played Thursday night against Houston. They won the game. They haven't practiced since that Thursday night game. It's just weird to me.
At all?
They haven't practiced. Wow. When I went out there yesterday, but they didn't have a practice on Monday and Tuesday. And, there's a team that needs to practice. I just don't understand it. It's not like they've done anything this year. So, look, it going to Arizona could be a tough place to play. Back when I went down there to play, it's not this juiced up crowd and pregame and you got to get yourself ready to play. The one thing about the Cardinals is they don't beat themselves. Kyler's taking care of the football. They don't give you short fields. And last week, their defensive backs, whether it was Thomas or the rookie Max Melton or Garrett Williams, like they defended the pass really well. And I know people don't watch the Cardinals, but for my money, there's not a better safety in football than Budda Baker. Like that guy is just electric player. Maybe he could have more interceptions or whatever, but that guy's an electric player that plays the game like Troy Polamalu played the game. Like it's just hell bent for leather. I like the way this team just competes, and they are running the ball well. And it's been an Achilles heel of the Jets. Like if they get James Conner and DeMarcado and Benson, if they get those guys going, like they'll play keep away from Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, like they have against the 49ers in the second half. You look at against the Rams, how they ran. And when they won last year in Philly and they won in Pittsburgh, they ran the ball really well and they stay with it. They don't. And so I do believe if they're going to be a playoff contending team, they got to find ways to get Marvin Harrison the ball. He looks disinterested at times. Yeah. He doesn't beat man coverage like you see Brian Thomas win or even Malik Neighbors. It's not like they're shutting him out, but like get this guy involved. Like call some plays for him. Like just make him feel involved. I feel like he goes through games and he knows that it's probably not going to come his way.
And Jason, real quick, the Cardinals are over 500. They're 5-4. I want to correct that. I said they were looking to get over 500, and Kyler Murray was saying he wasn't concerned with that. He just wants to win games. But what do you think about this matchup?
I think there's going to be a lot of square public money that keeps coming on the Jets. We've seen the Jets in prime time a ton, the recency bias. Oh, they just beat C.J. Stroud. So I want to play Arizona on the money line, but I think by Sunday, this is more like 2 or 2.5, which means we're going to get more for Arizona on the money line. So that's how I want to play it, but I don't think the value's there yet. Look, Arizona's 6-3 against the spread. The Jets are 3-6. Like the Jets on the road the last 2 years, 3-9-1 against the spread. They lose on average by 6.3 points more than Vegas thinks. That's the third worst ratio in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers on the road this season, guys, 58.7% completions, just 6.4 yards per attempt, 78.5 quarterback rating, 3.5% interception percentage. And here's the real bitch of it. He doesn't get pressured on the road. The pressure rate is almost half at home is what it is on the road. He gets blitzed more at home than on the road, and he can't push the ball downfield on the road, and he turns it over. He's got 6 interceptions in 5 road games, plus money on Aaron Rodgers' interception. Yeah, I'm on that. I like Connor props. This also could be a Kyler Murray legs game, Baldy. The Jets, 28th in the NFL in EPA defending quarterback scrambles. And, yeah, I think Arizona wins this game. But if you want to play it now, go ahead. But I think that 1.5 is going to get to 2 or 2.5. And that's when I want Arizona catching almost a field goal at home on the money line.
All right, guys, we got to get out of here. But before we do, quick thoughts on Dolphins at Rams. It's the Monday night game. Here come the Rams. Here come the Rams once again. And I'm just saying, keep your eye out on the Rams in the NFC West. Baldy?
Well, they did it last year. They're a second-half team. They got Puka back, who he got thrown out of the game for, a silly punch.
Yep.
But, Puka and Cooper are back. I mean, Stafford's unreal. Like, that guy takes a beating. He's got a rookie center, a rookie free agent left guard, but they battle like crazy. He battles like crazy. The thing that is really coming on are these 4 young defensive linemen that the Rams have drafted, Fisk and Verse and, Kobe Turner and Byron Young. Like, they're really coming on. They were dominant against Seattle last week. Look, Tua played great last week. But what's happening is around the league, likewise, they can't get those explosive plays right now.
Dink, dunk. Dink, dunk.
So Tua's just, look, he's getting the ball out of his hands. They put up 27 points each of the last 2 games. The offense is fine, but there's nobody on their pass rush that scares you. If you give Stafford time, I don't care. Like Robinson, Kupp, Nakua, like he's completing passes. I like the Rams to continue marching right now.
I like the Rams here. This has moved in the Rams' favor. This thing opened at Rams laying 2.5, so it may move even more in the Rams' favor. And there's still really good money on the Rams to win the you can still get 4-1 on the Rams to win the division. I'm on that a bunch of different ways. I was on it in the summer, and I'm back on it now.
Guys, can't wait to see what happens on Sunday. Appreciate everybody being here. Subscribe, like us in the huddle. We're back with you next week as we continue to count down towards the playoffs because it's getting close. I mean, believe it or not, we'll be heading to week 10. We do have a game overseas in Germany and Munich. We'll get to all of that coming up next week.
I'm watching that one too, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Enjoy
You're one of the brave few, Baldy. One of the brave few.
It's on early.
Tag.
It's on
Sprachen
early.
Sie Deutsch? Yeah,
Hey.
good luck with that one. Yeah.
All right, guys. Take care, and thanks for being here. It's in the huddle.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah.